Hello, everybody. Welcome back.
Hello.
We did the premiere last time. I'm gonna try and do it again. I think this time. I know I'm talking to you guys. It was me and Mandy in the chat. We will see. Saw some folks.
Woof. Okay. Yep. Got that one out of the way. You're good now.
Have we mentioned that we record live? Because we do. It's a pre-recorded show, but I am lazy and also I have a full-time job. And so going back and editing out all of the good stuff, because that's totally what I would end up doing, not going to happen. So hi, this is a taste of when we do have the capacity to go live. You know, this is what it's going to be like, except there will be a chat, and we will be interacting with you in chat because chat is amazing. So, yeah, if you're seeing this and you're catching this, please leave a comment as to what time you like to catch us, because that's going to help us figure out when we do lives and stuff like that. So anyway, hi. If you're new here, I'm Aurora, and I'm going to stop talking now.
I'm Mandy. Well, I'm going to talk all the time because that's what I do. Hi, everybody.
We make a pretty good team that way. And for this show, we even have an outline and stuff like that. Who knows how long we're going to keep that? So come on in, grab a chair, pull up your favorite beverage. I am having some whiskey tonight. Because as we get into the show, you will see why. This is also, we swear. So if you have sensitive ears, if you have sensitive ears or there are little ones around, we'll catch you on the next one or not, because I speak fluent sailor, trucker, take your pick. Yeah, so with that, I'm gonna roll our intro, and then we're just gonna dive right into this week's insanity. Hello and welcome to the Unfiltered Tea, a show where we say all the things you wish the newscasters said, unscripted and unfiltered. We talk about news, politics, and entertainment, so pull up your soapbox, pour yourself a cuppa, and let's go. All right. So I had my brain failed me. This week was a week of fuckery.
And questionable brain activity. So very, very on point.
Questionable brain activity. Should we start with the creepy Biden picture and just get it out of the way?
Sure.
If y'all don't have Twitter, just go to Joe Biden's Twitter, and for the most poorly timed bad joke.
Yes. Poor Joe, our president, tried really hard to lean into the whole conspiracy theory humor around the Super Bowl and posted what I think is called a dark Brandon filter picture of himself.
With the caption, just like we do it. Sir.
I came across this just naturally in my Twitter feed, which I don't often visit. So it was a very interestingly timed experience. And literally half of the comments were, I legitimately thought that this was a spoof page, but nope, that's our president.
Yep. I mean, not on the presidential page, on his own public page, but
Indeed.
Still. Yeah, I think the hair has to go up because I have a rogue hair, ladies and gentlemen. And if you don't want to see me batting at my face like there's something invisible there all night, we're going to do this and hope that I don't look like a cockatiel.
Let your inner cat out. Just bat away.
So, yeah, Mandy texts this to me, and I'm like, but what? It broke my brain.
No.
It broke my brain. And then luckily I did come across a content creator who explained it to me and the really bad timing. And I was like, that I know what you were aiming for, sir, but maybe before you hit post, Google what is happening in real time.
Take a quick scan. Just yeah.
So that was a thing that happened. It's real. It was a joke, which would have been funny if there was
still kind of weird. I gotta say, like, still a little weird, but it would have been less disturbing.
Yes.
If the timing had not turned out to be so ill, so very, very ill. Yeah.
So, yeah, so that happened. I forgot to hit my key before I did a thing. It's going to be a show. We're going to do this. I'm going to swoop, and then we are going to pull up. Then I'm going to move from Biden's bad dark Brandon joke to something. I'm gonna swoop, and then that'll maybe my brain will have stopped buffering by then. Okay. Update on the Crumbley trial.
Yeah.
So she was convicted. I have thoughts. However, I have thoughts based entirely on the law itself, and there are so many things that she could have been charged for, probably legitimately. I understand the need for getting anybody connected with something like that. I have my own personal thoughts on how we're going about it and where we can actually fix that. But ultimately, it felt to me to be more of an emotional decision than a decision based on facts. According to the jury foreperson, that wasn't the case. That was a fact. But it's in question, and I honestly think that if both sides of lawyers and the judge had guardrails, training wheels, something, it might have been a little bit better. So we looked at this a little bit. I think I sent you the link. Do we want to look at the 1-minute video of the juror, what was she? The foreperson on the jury who gave her opinion in a very quick little bite. Also, reporters, I know you need your story, but good Lord, like, step off just a minute.
Yeah, a little time and space, for sure. I think we should play the clip. I also will be interested, again, not having watched a lot of the proceedings, but having heard some of it from you, but also thinking about it from a parental standpoint of, like, what does that mean? In what ways am I liable now for the actions of my child? That's terrifying. Not that I think my child is going to go out and do anything like that, but I'm sure they didn't either. So,
right. We need to do this in a different way, ladies and gentlemen. Aurora's brain can't handle all of the confusion. There we go. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Whoopsie doodle. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just everything just went in. But yeah. Yeah, let's hear what she has to say, and then we will.
the thing that really hammered it home is that she was the last adult with the gun. And that's where I'll end my comment. Thank you.
She was the last adult with a gun.
Okay. I have so many thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I have so many thoughts. How that could be applied in retrospect to other similar situations, for one. I mean, if that hadn't been a parent, if that had been someone at, you know, a gun show or another location who had been the last adult who had been, then how would it doesn't, I don't like it.
Yeah. I have an issue with that being the reason. Time will tell. And the father's trial is coming up. You know, I'm going to be hunting to see what that is like. And I will be, well, we have a couple different trials coming up, but I'm almost more interested in his. I'm not sure I hope he doesn't have the same defense team. I'm sure she's fine. It's just, yeah, it was, I did find a clip of the closing arguments of defense that I want to share. I don't want to go too long with it. It was the perfect moment of what are we doing with this? What are you doing? How is this how you've designed your closing? There's note cards involved. She's clearly using these flashcards and stuff so let me go ahead and pull that up. Also, huge thank you and shout out to the channel Recovery Addict. This is where I followed this whole trial. Great chat. And I reached out and received permission to use this clip. So I've linked the channel down below if you are at all interested in hanging out in a chat, watching various random court things and trials like that. I found him during the Taking Care of Maya trial, and he has given us permission to use clips from his channel. So I asked permission and he said yes. So thank you very much. We appreciate it. Makes my life easier. Also, while there is no commentary of his during this little couple minutes that I'm going to show, his face is perfection and exactly what my face was when it was happening. So I'm going to see if I can pull this up. This is a real test tonight, everybody, of my tech skills. What have I?
You're killing it. You got this.
What have I learned with tech skills? I think it's this one. Doing so well. All right. So let's watch the defense's closing for just a moment.
Cared about her son just because she cared about horses and bought medication from them and had a horse hobby. That's not any different than a dad who likes golf and buys new golf clubs and has a membership to a country club and spends time there and spends money at the bar there on days they go golfing. It's not any different. To try to suggest that it shows the priorities were on horses and not their son is just garbage. This is a son who had everything he needed and all kinds of opportunities in life. A son they take camping and on vacation to Cedar Point. Not only do they take him, they take a friend with them.
Okay, I'm just going to pause here for 1 second because I watched this. Did any of that make any sense to you? I mean, like, and I watched it, and I understand that there's no context, but also,
Well, I mean, so first of all, again, I've been hearing courtroom speak for a long time, even though I don't watch a lot of coverage now. I assume at some point the time and money spent on horses was used as evidence that there was not enough attention paid to the child.
Correct.
Or that the child is not the priority.
Yeah. The horse.
Which makes me feel like I need to go back and watch the actual trial, because I really now want to know what was being litigated here. But no, I mean, it was, and
sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry.
It's all good. The comparison went on too long. So it was like, you know, going to the golf club and buying golf clubs and going to the bar. It was too much. It was just like, hello, come back.
This is what it was.
Are you trying to say that the dad is a drunk golfer, or have you just completely lost the thread? I don't know. And I don't know why either of those things would help you in your own case. So maybe time now, maybe. Anyway, that was my take.
Part of this is I went back a little too far. I wrote it down, and I think I'm like a couple minutes. I'm trying to think. This is no, because it was not. We're not going to deal with where she was at there. It was something else. I was almost there. I'm going to hit play again. It's only like a couple more minutes. I think I just went back a little too far. There's a thing that comes up with a witness, and it's I'm going to get there.
They're sitting there playing board games with him, spending time doing that. That's all in the Facebook pictures that were admitted. Those are submitted to you as exhibits, and you can take a look at them if you want to. Brian's testimony in this case absolutely creates reasonable doubt. When Brian Meloche testified, there's no question he was inconsistent.
Okay, I'm just holding off for a second there because
yeah.
You needed a card to say, and trust me, the prosecutors were no better. This is the better argument of the lawyer. Like, not that, but still. Little bit more. I just had to have a moment because what?
No, I
would submit.
Sorry. No, I'm sorry. Go play. I shut up.
To you that after there was no reason law enforcement needed to interview him for 2 hours, 1 hour, and then 3 hours. But over time, the police certainly caught on to the fact that the more you ask Brian the same question over and over, and he realizes he's not giving the answer you like, he changes it. And while the prosecution tries to make it sound like, well, he didn't want his affair outed, from the very beginning, he told them he was having the affair with Mrs. Crumbley. That was not something that ever changed. It wasn't until the third interview when they started talking about his pension, talking about his job, that he felt pressure. He agreed with the word pressure, and he agreed with the word veiled threats, although he did take it back later, that the police wanted him to say something bad about Mrs. Crumbley. And I would submit to you that they probably did that to all of the witnesses in the case. But Brian Meloche was the one who admitted to it. And when Mr. Keast got back up there and asked him more questions, Brian got right back in line like he was supposed to and told them exactly what he knew they wanted to hear. Brian is a terrible witness. He said he had memory problems. And quite frankly, when he's testifying that he knows that the gun was in the car that day of the shooting, we all know no one thinks that's true.
I don't know that no one thinks that's true. Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
So, yes, I believe she goes on. Oh, we're almost there. We're almost there. I'm going to give it a little. I'm looking for one spot, and we are almost there. This is how the sausage is made, ladies and gentlemen. Play.
Mrs. Crumbley testified and explained the day the gun was in the car. Brian's just wrong. And when Brian testified that Brady was gone and he believed Brady died or committed suicide, I would submit to the jury that Brian is just an idiot and has no clue. And that the truth is, he didn't know the details about where.
It was that's the moment I wanted to get to. That is in a closing argument.
I would submit to counsel that it was your job to prove that when that witness was on the stand. That's like your entire job, your whole job, to not just tell a story during closing, but to actually, I don't know, prove it during the course of your presentation and examination. That's just, again,
prosecution.
I have no legal training. It's just my theory based on Law and Order and various other television shows.
She could have been great. She could have been. The reality is, she could have been great. I don't think she does a lot of trials.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think she does a lot of public speaking. It's funny to go back actually and watch that again, given what our deep dive is going to be this week.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was
just, I'm going to have to go back and watch. We should do, when we come up on the father's trial, maybe we can do a little deep dive on this one. Maybe I will have caught up by then. Although I say every week that I'm going to catch up on something, and then my life takes over and I catch up on nothing, including like nutrition or sleep. So sorry about that.
Well, I can also send you links too, because if Scott is covering that, I'm going to be in the chat there. Although if I'm double booked, Rust takes precedence over the Crumbley trial in which things am I interested in that I'm
we can divide and conquer. We can divide and conquer and then catch back up.
Yes, I can.
Anyway, sorry, folks. You can also divide and conquer with us, please.
You can. It's amazing. This is why Replay Crew exists, because if you are in live streams and you miss a day, or you have work and meetings and life, you can always go back and check it again. I'm rambling. I'm sorry.
Now I just have to say, like, I don't know who told that woman that it was okay to just state things in your closing that you've not in any way proven during the course of the trial. I mean, good on you. If I don't know. I have to go back and what crazy.
I still have an issue with calling any witness an idiot.
And doesn't know anything, clearly. And we all know that what the witness said isn't true. And it's so much wrongness. So much wrongness.
There's so many problems with that. So many problems with that. And now is a good time to say I have issues with her presentation. I do not know her. I do firmly believe that Jennifer Crumbley's best option is going to be ineffective assistance of counsel in post-conviction motions. And I'm not sure if that was strategy or was not strategy in this particular case. But yeah, I don't think anybody in that courtroom with a law degree did a really particularly good job. But I don't know. Like, I'm not an attorney. It was just a hot mess inside of a dumpster fire with very big stakes
Very big stakes. And so again, like, and I know this isn't our deep dive, but it seemed from just that section of closing, like the trial was about whether or not mom was a good mom.
Yeah, that's definitely what it came across as to me, just listening to it. And I just have issues with that. I
can't even explain to you the number of issues I have with that. I'm going to sit with that until the next time we talk about this. Like I said, because that's you were right.
Yeah,
all emotion. Emotion.
It was a lot of emotion. So with that, I am realizing I made a brandy new bumper and I never did it, but that's okay. That's all right. We're halfway through. Next show. Now you all know that I made. We'll see the other brandy new bumper that I made later. I get really excited about tech stuff, but for now we're going to swoop, and then we are going to talk. I can't. I'm gonna swoop.
Yeah.
I'm gonna swoop. No, swoop.
Yeah.
Swoopity doop. I didn't swoop. And I haven't had that much whiskey. It just, I hit the button.
The swoop wasn't swooping.
The swoop was not swooping. I was very disappointed. Oh, my brain just got squirrels. All the thoughts happened all at once and they exploded in my head.
Are we moving on to the ones in Teacher King? Or did I just squirrel you worse?
You squirreled me even worse.
I'm sorry.
Squirrel.
You go. You run with it.
No. Notes. I'm going to my notes because I can't. I have Larry David and Elmo up in.
Oh yeah. Do it.
Okay. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm taking a risk. Me, Mandy, and all amazing 5 of you. I might have to take this down after I play this. But it's when I get online and I'm just scrolling on my Facebook and I come across something that's, clickbaity. I'm going through my Facebook, which is 97% ads at this point, and I see Larry David throttled Elmo.
You can't.
What?
You can't not stop. You can't. You can't keep scrolling.
No, please don't die. Please do not die.
I'm better.
So, I can't. I need to see this. So we're going to watch this together, and then we are going to discuss. We are going to discuss for a moment the insanity that is this. So if I need to take it down, just know that there will be a weird edit because the Today Show got feisty and fair use things, and I'm just going to clip it out if they get cranky. So, now you know what we're doing, and I'm working on technology. I got this.
You can do it. I have faith.
I can do it.
Elmo believes in you.
Is that what I
know?
Yeah. Yes. I'm sure he does. I would not do this to him. I wouldn't. We're gonna watch the whole thing. We're gonna watch the whole thing. I think this is the one that I want.
Go over to Alfred, check the weather.
Not yet.
Wait.
Wait.
Oh my gosh, you love Elmo, don't you? Elmo, are you okay?
Mr. Larry, Elmo liked you before.
Ask permission before you touch people, Larry.
Let's get back on the couch. Let's talk about how you're feeling.
They would have canceled the show, Elmo, if they weren't last season.
All right, Larry, you've gone too far this time.
Yes, Larry.
Somebody had to do it.
I'm just going to pause for a moment before we continue the video because I am totally with Elmo's dad. And I'm going to get to my other thoughts in a moment. but I don't know who this gentleman is because I don't actually watch the Today Show much, really ever. I'm working but his reaction was like, what? I'm gonna keep going because it's worth it. But yeah, I had to have a moment of
wow.
I'm with you, Elmo Stan. I'm with you.
Is anybody really surprised?
He's gonna sue y'all for the teaser. I'm gonna sue him for
That's right, Louie.
Okay.
All right.
All right, let's show you what's happening weather-wise. Didn't see that coming.
What? No, Larry, do you have something you want to say to Elmo?
And look at the camera, and please.
And from your heart.
Give him a camera shot.
From where?
From your heart. Exactly. Oh, okay.
Correct,
What?
Larry.
We're ready.
What organ are you talking about?
Yeah, just,
your heart.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Say you're sorry.
Elmo.
Larry?
I just want to apologize.
Thank you, Larry.
That's very big of you.
Elmo accepts your apology, Larry.
Thank God.
What
And Louie, will you drop the lawsuit?
Elmo accepts your apology.
Oh,
He said he accepts
it.
your
Oh,
Okay, cool.
okay.
Elmo.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
You are such a sweetheart.
Thank you, Elmo.
Yes.
We're sorry.
Elmo, Larry, you are not a sweetheart. Have you ever heard that?
I can leave it there because that was great. You are not sorry. Correct. Correct. Larry David is not sorry.
No. I can't. Yeah. So, no, you go ahead.
Well, the context of this was apparently Elmo had been on discussing mental health. And so on that note, I suppose that I would say that if your insecurity is such that you can't wait your turn because a Muppet is speaking to children about the importance of mental health. And then you throttle. The most brilliant part about this, though, is he didn't throttle the Muppeteer. It was
The Muppet.
It was the Muppet itself, which speaks to the power of the Muppets. The Muppets are amazing.
Very true. Very true.
That if Larry David, pardon me, my computer battery disappeared. I just looked up and realized that my computer battery has decided it was getting alarmingly low for recording a show. So yeah, but if you are a famous person and you were on the Today Show to promote your final season of the show that's run for 497 years, and you can't wait your turn because it's 9 a.m. and a Muppet is talking to children. So you feel the need to violently assault said Muppet. I feel like maybe Elmo was talking to you, Larry David.
Well, I feel like it's a lovely demonstration in real time of what happens when you don't take care of your own mental health. But I also, I mean, the number of talking Elmo toys and Elmo videos and dancing Elmo tickle me, Elmo I just shit myself, Elmo. I mean, I don't even remember. I don't want to get sued. There was no I just shit myself, Elmo. I made that one up. But there was like an Elmo voice around at all times, from before my child was born until now, right?
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong. There are times when I hear that voice, and it is like a little trigger. I was like, oh my gosh. And my kid didn't even like Elmo. I was, if you don't appreciate noise-making toys, as I don't, that I was blessed in that she was not a fan. But everywhere. So yeah, whether it was something that perhaps he thought everybody would be like, yeah, throttle that obnoxious voice a little. I don't know. Was it like intended to be a stunt and then he realized the reaction was not what he was going for? Was it really just his frustration?
Was it? He was really just annoyed and that he wasn't. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
he was really just annoyed that they were taking so much time with the Muppet. There's a difference between a puppet and a Muppet.
Indeed there is.
But yeah, it seems I know people who have encountered Larry David in more directly. Not like just fans coming up to him and stuff, but people who've at least one person who has worked in comedy clubs where he was and stuff like that. While I will not, unlike Mr. David there, I will not divulge some of the information and some of the stories that I have heard. But yeah, I feel like maybe he should take some of his retirement money and call a good therapist, maybe take care of his own mental health, because if you can't wait your turn like a proper grown-up
and use your words.
We
use our words, not our hands. We use our words. It sounds really, Larry, like you needed to stop and talk to Elmo for a hot minute. Maybe he had some good advice for you.
I think maybe he would have. And if you can't take the voice, it seems like Elmo's dad has a different and lower register voice that maybe would be easier to listen to.
Side note, I did not know Elmo's dad was a thing until you played that video.
I didn't know that Elmo's dad was a thing until I played the video for myself.
It's a whole new experience.
So, my Sesame
I feel like
Street,
we're upcycling Muppets, maybe, and that's what. Anyway, that was interesting. It was very interesting. Everything about that was interesting. I feel like I need to go do a deep dive on Elmo's dad and understand a little bit more how suddenly he entered the picture.
I mean, I come
was
from
Maury Povich involved. Like, what happened? I don't. Oh,
he might have been. I mean, my Sesame Street generation, Snuffleupagus was not seen by anybody except by Big Bird and Buffy St. Marie. They were the only two people that could see Snuffy. And Big Bird is not a person. So, Elmo having a dad, I just... Oh, okay.
Sure. Hi, Elmo's dad.
Hi. Yep. I appreciated the Muppet facial hair that he seems to have going on. Like, Elmo's dad seems to have some style.
He really reminded me of a few people I know in real life, so I'm just gonna not comment. So on the advice of counsel. Oh goodness. Okay.
Oh.
Anyway.
All right.
Well, I think that Elmo should sue. I really do. I think he would have a good case.
I agree.
I think even with the lawyers from the Crumbley case, he still would probably win the day. That feels like a solid case to me.
I would potentially pay money to see that woman try to defend Larry David.
I want to see her examine Elmo on the stand. That's what I want right now. Bring it. Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Swoop, and then you're gonna have to remind me what we were doing next because I've hidden my notes on myself.
No, why would you put me in charge of that? I don't know.
I'll find my notes. I'm gonna swoop. I'm gonna swoop and find my notes. That's what I'm gonna do. I only have 2 screens. You would think it would be easy.
No, that's why it's so difficult. There's
Yes.
like 50 things on 2 screens.
So are we I'll let you take it because we covered that. I don't feel like going there because it'll just make me mad.
Where do you want to go? Take us on a journey. Laura.
Take us on a journey. I'm ignoring I am ignoring the ones in Future King at least. Well, that's kind of unfair to some, but I'm ignoring that for right now because I got sidetracked. As we will learn shortly, ladies and gentlemen, I fell down a complete rabbit hole between last week and this week. So we're gonna keep this bit light and somewhat fun. And so we're going to go to Sportsball. I know. I'm sorry. But ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, I am a hockey fan. And that is it. Like, other than that, I do not follow Sportsball. So but here's what I did do. So on Sunday, I was like, oh, we're going to do the show. And the Super Bowl happened. And maybe I'll check it out. So I clicked power on my television as the Super Bowl ended, or what I thought was ending, because I was like, I want to see the confetti and figure out who won. Clicked on, oh no, they're going into overtime.
Yes.
So as a hockey fan, I am now very thoroughly, completely confused as to American football overtime, because in hockey, so it's a tied score. You have a very brief intermission. You come back for what we call sudden death overtime.
Sudden death. Yep.
That means whoever gets the first goal wins. That's it. It didn't used to be that way, but that's where we're at now. And if that doesn't happen, then it goes to a shootout. That's a point still debated among some folks, but there was one hockey game, I think, that went on for many hours because they just kept going into overtime and nobody was winning the game. So I log in and I see this, and then I'm completely confused because for me, American football is just men play acting like goats playing rugby.
I mean, I'm with you, except on the goats. That feels like too hardy of an animal. I mean, rugby is serious. And it's not that I think football isn't serious, but there are just so many rules. You touched me in the wrong place. I advocate for being, everybody's bodily autonomy. But it's very like there are so many rules, and there's so many reasons why the clock stops, and there's so many reasons why everybody has to like take a minute and regroup. And yes, and overtime is very much like, now if we're gonna have overtime, everybody needs to get a chance. That's how this works. And it's kind of weird and confusing. And
for it being a sport with a bunch of...
It's not as bad as extra innings, in my humble opinion, but it's still painful.
For a sport that has a lot of conservatives currently very bent out of shape for reasons I don't understand, I feel like there's a lot of chances for trophies that don't happen in other sports.
Nope.
Like, that's why I can't watch it. I'm turning on overtime. It's a 15-minute thing. I'm like, okay, so whoever gets to the end of the field first, but yes, but also. So please, dear God, do not take this as me asking, ladies and gentlemen, for an explanation of American football. My
You don't
mother
want it.
tried
No.
a couple Super
No.
Bowls ago when Brady was still playing. I at least with hockey, I get a little dash of every sport, because sometimes there's a little lacrosse happening, sometimes a little hacky sack, sometimes a little soccer.
Boxing. Oh, sorry.
Boxing, definitely. Yeah, no. So, but with that, the Professional Women's Hockey League is seeing its very first season with a brand new Original Six. And so that's the sports ball that I actually want to talk about a little bit. Fun fact, this hoodie here from the Boston, they sold out of their merch. Like, there is no season 1 merch that is easily gotten at the moment. It took me like 3 weeks to get this hoodie, so I am wearing it. I'm super happy. But what I wanted to give a little chat about, and what I wanted to chat with you about a little bit, is how to do the hype right. Because there's women's sports for almost all of the sports ball, I do believe, on some level, but maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, there has been female professional baseball.
Okay.
Football, not so much. My father desperately wanted me to be the first female professional place kicker in the NFL, which is why I know that. Sorry, Dad. Yeah, so there's basketball, obviously, like soccer, you know, I'm sorry, football if you're not from this country. You know, but yeah, we don't sports ball as well as we should. And having no real knowledge of this other than what movies and what barely I can remember of hearing about it in history classes told me, it's because people don't show up to watch games. So it's not a lucrative enterprise in most cases.
Not when you don't televise the games. You hide them in a weird back alley. You don't put it on the GPS maps. And basically, you say, if you want to find this, you have to figure out all of the riddles that Bilbo has left for you and take a very long journey. And who's going to do that to watch some sports ball? No one. So the PWHL has proved all of that total hogwash. Here's how. They took a look at this, and first of all, the folks on their board are insanely good at figuring this stuff out, and there's lots of stars involved and things like that. The NHL was very supportive and said, what do you need? What do you need from us? And the PWHL was like, we'll let you know. Okay, cool. If you can't tell, I have been following this as a rabid hockey fan since the first tweet about the PWHL becoming a thing. And so they got all of the teams set up. They got the home ice arenas set up. They signed deals with CBC for the Canadian teams, Madison Square Garden Television for the New York team, and Nesson for Boston. Every game is televised in the exact same place that you can watch the boys play. You know who doesn't play the same days the boys play? The girls. The ladies are not, so we're not competing in that way. Yeah. I talk about that. And everybody was floored because they started hyping it up. There were a lot of great women working throughout the NHL. They are now the head coaches, general managers, all of that in the PWHL. The reporters and stuff, it's actually kind of fun. If you go on Nesson and you watch a PWHL game and an NHL game, you will see an exact flip almost of gender.
Nice.
For reporters and players and stuff like that. And then they had team captains and players and stuff from the NHL teams go in and do things like Patrice Bergeron came in and announced who the captain and alternate captains and stuff like that were going to end up being to the PWHL Boston team, which was amazing. And they launched. Every game is sold out. Every game that has been played so far has sold out. Season tickets, poof, gone. I go in 2 days after they've had games. Two to their merch site, or as soon as I could find their merch site.
Yeah.
I sold out. I went to get a jersey. I'm like, I feel like somebody told them that they weren't going to sell this much stuff.
Yeah.
Because they're women.
But there's also like there's the draw, right? Of it's sold out. Now it's it's the Stanley Cup, right? Not that I'm saying it was Stanley, right? Anyway.
Yeah. Yes. We all vie for the Stanley Cup. Well, the women will have something different, but yes, that you are correct.
Oh no, see, that's not the Stanley Cup I was talking about. Not the Stanley Cup, I'm sorry. There was the tumbler, right?
Oh,
the
yeah. Sorry.
Tumbler that sold out. Yeah. So there's like the draw of that, right? So then everybody wants one. And like, you guys want this and that. So better to have that situation, I would think, than warehouses full of merchandise that doesn't sell. So I actually think that's really freaking smart.
I think it's brilliant. And I wanted to take a moment because that is how you do it right. And what I loved is after the very first game sold out, the ratings were much bigger than anybody told them they were going to be. Not surprising to me. Hockey fans are hockey fans. We just get a new team that we get to root for.
Yeah.
I would like the girls to step it up, but whatever. That's me. I'm a Boston fan. And all of that. And then after those first games, I remember coming across a tweet from the NHL that said the hype matters, because it got hyped for a couple months before they started the season by the NHL, and not in a you should go see our girls play kind of a way. It was just like, yeah, man, I mean, we lost one of our great coaches, but it's good. It's good for her. She's going to lead this team. It's going to be amazing. And I'm really excited to see what's coming. And they treated it like we just added 6 new teams to the franchise.
Yes.
And that was so attention all other professional women's sports and the men's counterparts, do what the NHL did. Please. So that's I will stop boring everybody with sports ball now. I wanted to put that out there of the hype matters. And how do you build an audience? Well, you get the audience in the seats and in front of the TV.
Yeah.
That looked very
you make it appealing.
Yeah. And easy to get to. You don't have to know the secret passcode to get to a PWHL game. You just go, oh, Lady Boston is playing today. Cool. So, pardon me, I am reglossing, ladies and gentlemen, and then we're going to swoop. I should have done this during the... Me buffer all of the time? Nope. All right, I'm swoopy doopy swoop.
You look like you were waiting too long for the photo to be taken. That was great.
I'm multitasking.
I believe you.
All right. Before we get into our deep dive, what I am going to be the next deep dive that you can expect from me is me regaling Mandy of all things Hannah Gutierrez Reed and that trial, which is coming up. Tomorrow there is the final pretrial hearing. I am gonna watch that one way or another. Maybe after work, maybe not. How many times can I say in a single sentence? And yeah, so I am. If you follow Emily D. Baker, this is going to be a good one to catch up with. So yeah. Anyway, that is happening. I am very interested because oh my god, this is going to get fiery and spicy. It is. I know.
Already feels like it is, and it's yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So,
and this is from someone again who does not. I'm not on like I don't spend the kind of time that you do listening to the actual proceedings or following the press. You know, every once in a while I kind of peek through the headlines and try to catch up. But this one is already everywhere. So crazy pants. Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Bring it.
Yeah. I'm excited. Let me back up. I am not excited that this trial is actually happening because the entire thing is an absolute tragedy. And we'll be, among the other things we will be talking about is safety on film sets and the film crew and just the general notion that the lowest paid folks on the totem pole are often the folks that keep you safe, alive, clean, all of these things. So, and I don't really care what job you're talking about there, but it's the notion that we have to suffer for art, I feel needs to be more of a personal choice and not positions that you get put in. And I have some other thoughts based on some of the motions that have come through and some of the allegations from prosecution. I feel like I'm going to have some thoughts, but I want to wait and see how this starts to play out in court because I already have the thoughts. We're gonna pause and watch that. So that is on our list for things that we're going to be yammering about. I'm going to be yammering about it to 9,000 other people. Mandy just gets like. Mandy gets a slightly pared down version. So with that, we are about to head in our deep dive. I'm gonna use the new thing for the deep dive. And the bumper. Time for a new bumper. New bumper.
Oh, got a little spray
there. way too proud of my ability to do that. I mean, the app that I use makes it super, super easy. But anyway, yeah. Just one more time.
Hope you didn't need to go to the bathroom, folks.
Sorry. Give me the opportunity to leave the little marker for myself for time stamping to make life easier. I should have made that go away a minute ago, and I didn't. Okay. So our deep dive this week is what happens when my friends like Mandy or coworkers say, "Hey, have you seen this docuseries on Netflix yet?" And I say no. And they say, "Trust me, you need to watch this." And I go, all right. And I hit play. The next thing I know, it's 3 days later. I've had it on basically just auto play. I'm surprised Netflix didn't ask me if I was doing all right because once it started, I was just like, what is happening? What the fuck is happening? And then because I watch LawTube like because I watch Law and Lumber and Emily D. Baker and trials with the recovery addict chat and all of that, I went hunting for motions, which is actually really easy because backing up. The docuseries I fell down the rabbit hole of was Making a Murderer. Have you seen this, Mandy? I think I asked you this, but I don't.
I have not yet, but you're not the first person to tell me that it's worth watching. So when next I have time that doesn't include my child, will be watching.
Yes. It is, well, the upside is I've learned a whole lot more about my constitutional rights, which I really feel like we need to have a class, preferably in high school, of what your actual legal rights are, because it seems to be just a guessing game if you aren't a nerd like me. And that's where some problems come into play, is if you're just guessing at what your rights are, you can wind up in situations like this. And sometimes even if you do know what your rights are, you can wind up in a situation like this. Season 1 follows this gentleman, Steven Avery, who was imprisoned for, now my brain is failing me, like 18 years, some ridiculous amount of time, for an assault he did not commit. He gets out at the end of season 1. He is released, and it is proven that he never actually did it. It's just the cops decided that he needed to go to prison for this. That's how it's framed in the series. I don't know, wasn't there, can't make a determination on that. What I will say is that this particular group of police officers seems to have a hard time with, I'm going to be kind and say, getting out of their own way to actually do the research they need to do to get the correct person. But then again, when he was finally exonerated from the first conviction, it was because DNA evidence had advanced and therefore could prove that they had wrongfully convicted him, arrested him and convicted him. Because I came into this late, I had the benefit of watching all of season 1 and season 2. So he gets out, everything is fine, and then a young woman gets murdered, and they pin it on him.
Oh, Lord.
Now, I watch far too much television just on a good day, and immediately I had issues with their reasoning for this, because they didn't seem, the police didn't seem to do a lot of investigation. They just kind of, so he's now in jail for this murder, which he claims he did not commit. There is no evidence from anything I saw in that documentary linking him to the crime itself, other than he had interacted with the victim that day and her vehicle was found on his property. Now, when you actually watch the documentary and stuff like that, there are some serious issues with, he owned a salvage yard. There's a lot of cars on that property. There's also a crusher on that property. So my initial thing is, if you did this and you wanted to get away, why just you've got the crusher. There was just a lot of questions not asked.
Sure.
Which in certain circumstances, Murdaugh, can be helpful for the person who seemingly committed the crime. Actually, in this case too, it seems to be very helpful for whoever actually committed the crime because
Yeah.
And so now his post-conviction attorney is Kathleen Zellner. And the docuseries does a wonderful little biography of her. This is a woman that I would be interested to meet, but also I might have an independent background check run on myself before I did that because if there is something in my past that I don't know about, she's just the type of person who's going to find it. And she now, her primary work is working for folks that are innocent, at least from all of the evidence that she has gathered. And she works real hard to get them exonerated. And she's a delight to watch. And I am going to go out on a limb here and guess that she's behind season 2 of the docuseries, at least on a certain level, because if the courts are against you, where do you go next? The media.
Yep.
So I fell down a rabbit hole and found the long story. Let me back up. Short story long. The courts will not have even an evidentiary hearing to determine if the new evidence or new testing is enough to hold a new trial. The allegation, the allegation of Steven Avery is that this evidence was all planted. There is actually a shit ton of forensic evidence that backs that theory up. Things like there were 4 different blood spots found of his in her vehicle. Now, I am somebody, I'm looking at that. I'm looking at where things are. I'm like, I want to know if he had a cut on his finger. He did. I want to know where the cut was. It was sort of like right in there. That's not going to leave a mark where those marks are. It's just not. And then there's no fingerprints of his in the vehicle. Well, how does his blood get in the vehicle but no fingerprints anywhere? But DNA is like on the hood latch, but no fingerprint. Yeah, that. It's just 9 hours of that. So I have now fallen down this rabbit hole. So ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna follow this. But then Mandy, I've reached the point where I was reading a 150-page appellate motion for fun. For fun.
You're supposed to let me know to send in help when this happens. I did not receive a flare or a carrier pigeon or anything.
To be fair, like there are some legalese is a thing. There's plenty of legalese that is,
Indeed.
I'm awake. Zellner's team does not write like that at all. So what we're going to do for our, so this was, what I found was April 22nd of 2021. Why? Because courts move slower than frozen molasses in the middle of January, especially when the entire state does not want to review your case. And the lower level federal courts don't want to review your case because for some reason everybody seems happier. And this is a tough one, right? You get, we just had a hearing for Murdaugh. to determine if he needed a new trial on the basis of the courthouse clerk probably saying some very inappropriate things to the jurors. Not
Indeed.
inappropriate that way, but inappropriate in a, we need the right verdict. Ma'am.
Yeah.
Shush.
That's not your job. No.
Not your job. Your job is to ask if they need lunch or what coffee they need, not that. Also, can everybody who does stupid shit not write a book about it?
Now you're just asking too much.
Just because the lead prosecutor in the Steven Avery case, you know what he did when this all started coming up? And he wrote a book.
Oh my God.
So we know that what I'm going to end up doing is going to find this. I need to find the book in a way that does not give this man a penny, though, because there is something about several of these. It's kind of funny, right? I'm very pro innocent until proven guilty and all of that. I don't think it was proven guilty. I do think his attorneys were. I'm trying to think of how to put this. I think they were good, but I don't think they had the fight that they needed. They were trying. It's just when the prosecutors and the courts kept shutting down every avenue they had for reasonable doubt, which was weird to me to watch, but less weird after coming from the Crumbley trial. It was, you could just see defeat on their face at one point, and they didn't fight it. Like they had a witness that they called, and the prosecutor was like, I don't understand why this is relevant. The witness in question was the county coroner who never examined the body.
What? Okay.
Or the remains.
Okay. I need more information. because if there was a reason why the remains weren't examined and no autopsy was performed, etc., then yeah, I suppose it would be difficult to understand the relevance of that testimony unless the coroner had information about the body being withheld.
Yeah, she was testifying that she'd been threatened with arrest if she had gone to the crime scene because they had discovered what they thought were human remains in a burn pit. I can't remember now. And she had heard about it on the news when the call should have gone to her, even if they were moving jurisdictions, which they were, to avoid conflict of interest. Except here's the thing. The same police officer names come up in both cases more than once, and there was a lot of help that the county that wasn't supposed to be involved with helping was helping. And there's definitely a connect. Every time those officers showed up on the site, new evidence was suddenly discovered that wasn't discovered the day before, 2 days before, and that included the discovery of the remains that had been burned. The coroner found out about it, called the sheriff and said, when can I get on scene to check this out? She had not been involved in the prior case. There was no conflict of interest. She had a job to do, and they told her not to do the job, according to her interview in the Netflix documentary, which is different than, say, being on the witness stand. But the defense had called her to the witness stand, and the prosecutor was like, I don't understand why this is relevant. And the judge was like, yeah, I don't understand why it's relevant. And they did. His attorneys didn't fight it the way they should have. and I know they regret, like, they are good. They were good attorneys. You know, you believe in your case when you're 10 years later signing affidavits for the current post-conviction counsel saying, here's where my counsel was ineffective.
Yeah.
You know, like when they're going, here's where I did not, here's where I was ineffective as counsel. Here's where I didn't follow up. You know, you believe it. You can tell that they are still being zealous advocates for him, and their mistakes, I think they just hadn't ended up in a case. They had too much trust in the state.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where they got into some issues. So I had fallen down reading the 2019 report, and now I'm going to bring up the 2021 one.
You got this.
The April 22nd, 2021 filing that went to State of Wisconsin Court of Appeals from Kathleen Zellner's office, because when I started reading this, I was like, I'm not even going to read the whole thing. It just starts off with fire. And yes, that. Yes, all of the fire, all of the spice. I need to figure, yeah, there we are. Me and technology. All right. We have all of the spice here. Except I need to. This is where I'm going to be reading off to the side instead of in the front, because everybody here can read these things, but I can't read that because it's very tiny on my screen. Okay, so this is just who is doing the thing. Now, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, I am not an attorney. I don't know why I fell into liking reading. I blame YouTube. I blame the internet for
the internet made me do
it. This is what happens when I found a trial I was interested in, and then it just got out of hand, and now here. What I do love, though, is when legal stuff is an entertaining read. And
well, I mean, I'm already sunk on the first sentence of the introduction. I mean, yeah.
I have no highlighting powers. Okay, I will figure that out at another time. It is a supreme irony that in one of the most blatant examples of a wrongful conviction, the state's only response is to falsely accuse Mr. Avery's lead counsel of nefarious conduct for discovering a sixth Brady violation. Rather than seeking justice, that sentence alone is like...
Yeah. That's well done to whoever actually wrote this. Well freaking done.
Rather than seeking justice, the state wants to slay the messenger. Also brilliant. So brilliant. By putting forth more false allegations, a skill that it has mastered over the last 16 years. The state turns a blind eye towards the past actions of withholding exculpatory evidence. When the state disclosed a CD of violent things from the Dassey Janda computer 12 years after the CD was created. 12 years. They didn't turn it over in discovery.
Nope. That's crazy.
And it's kind of a big deal. Was created and concealed from prior counsel. The state argued, as it does now, that Mr. Avery was attempting to add new material to his motion. When the state facilitated the destruction in 2011 of evidence it had agreed to allow Mr. Avery to test, that's new information to me.
Yep.
The state argued, as it does now, that Mr. Avery was attempting to add new material to his motion. This court did not accept those disingenuous responses then, and it should reject the same disingenuous response now. Nothing is being held back.
No. This is, yeah.
Now, Mandy, correct me if I'm wrong. This started out with the attorney equivalent of "you freaking morons." How many mistakes can you make?
Yeah, no, this reads to me as, I know you can't believe we're having this conversation. Neither can I. But just to make sure we're all on the same page, here's what's happened, okay? Bad things, bad things, bad things. Good court. Court said no bad things. They're trying to pull another bad thing.
I think that's maybe the best explanation I have ever heard. Yeah, that. The state asked this court to overlook the fact that in further violation of discovery, it failed to disclose to Mr. Avery's prior counsel that a former driver who delivered newspapers to the Avery salvage yard in November 2005 observed two men, including a shirtless Bobby Dassey, the state's primary witness in securing Mr. Avery's conviction, pushing Ms. Hallback's RAV4 down Avery Road prior to its later discovery on the Avery property. That is not in the docuseries, ladies and gentlemen.
Who's Bobby Dassey?
So, bear with, yeah, that, okay. Trying to think of how to explain this. So this is the Midwest and Northern Maine get a little weird at times. So this is the Avery property is this massive junkyard.
Right.
The Averys and the Dasseys are related. Okay. So Bobby Dassey is Steven Avery's nephew.
Okay.
And lived next door. So there's like a trailer, and then the parents' trailer is over there. So all the family has their own trailers. So Steve Avery lived in one trailer. His sister and her family lived in the next door trailer. And one of her sons is also still in jail for supposedly assisting with this crime. I left that part out. Yeah, so okay. There's Brendan Dassey, who is impaired mentally in some way, and his watching his police interrogation video was painful because it was it was coercion. It was absolute coercion. He was obviously guessing to whatever the right answer was in the hopes that whatever answer he got would let him go. Yeah. We've seen this with kids. We've seen this with juvenile defendants a lot, especially in that time frame. And they had determined that he needed, in order to get Steven Avery behind bars, they needed a confession from his nephew, Brendan Dassey. And Bobby Dassey is one of Brendan's brothers. And so far, the forensic evidence is pointing pretty squarely at him. But there are a few folks, I don't understand why police never questioned the roommate or the ex-boyfriend, because that's like where you go first.
This doesn't make sense.
And then there was a whole lot of unfortunate things that got found on Bobby Dassey's computer that do indicate the ability to the mental ability to commit this sort of a crime. And not only the physical capability, but just the general desire and that kind of thing. They found a lot of stuff on there.
Fun.
I'm avoiding certain things because it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
When even Netflix blurs everything out so as not to traumatize the audience, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. So that was found on his computer. So that's who Bobby Dassey is.
Okay.
And he was the state's star witness, saying that Steve Avery was the last person to see her alive.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm caught up now.
Will we go through all 56 pages tonight? No. But I want to get the start of some of this because it's great legal writing. Where was I?
You were discovery on the Avery property. Yeah.
Yes. And things like shirtless Bobby Dassey was just that is, we're pulling out all of the snark.
We are not pulling punches here. No.
In response, the state states, it is reasonable to conclude at this point that Mr. Avery is not pursuing these claims in good faith. However, the state's conclusion is clearly refuted by the procedural history of this case, the veracity of Mr. Swansky's statements, and the supporting affidavits, and the state's history of misconduct. In case you missed it the first 5 times we told you, you are a lying liar and we dislike this and we are coming for you. Voluntary I'm skipping ahead, I think, his pending appeal. It is the state's pattern of concealing and withholding exculpatory evidence that has forced Mr. Avery to delay his appeal numerous times already, delaying his quest for a new trial and eventual freedom. Dragging the appeal out. There we go. I have words. I can speak. I promise. Argument. The state's argument that Avery did not conduct a reasonable investigation before filing his motion is completely meritless. I believe that's legalese for thanks for playing.
Yeah, pretty much.
The state argues that Avery's counsel violated Wisconsin statute case law by not conducting any affirmative investigation into the assertions made by Mr. Swansky in his affidavit before filing the motion for remand. Without citing any precedent or acknowledging Mr. Avery's prior discovery requests, the state suggests that Avery was required to attempt a new open records request to verify Mr. Swansky's call and or ascertain the identity of the female officer with whom Mr. Swansky spoke prior to filing the motion.
Yeah, this is a little dense, but basically...
Help, I need an attorney. I mean, not this moment.
No, so yeah, it's basically saying, like, you can't submit this affidavit because you didn't investigate to make sure that, like, basically this person isn't trustworthy and you didn't do enough background checking or investigating the claims before submitting the affidavit. What?
That's a bold statement coming from the state that has pulled some stuff in all of the motions. That's a bold claim for them to be making.
The state's argument appears to be based on its self-serving conclusion that Mr. Avery's counsel stumbled upon Mr. Sawinski and, within 24 hours, filed the pending motion to stay the appeal and remand for Mr. Avery to file a supplemental. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. The language there, just for a filing, is like, it seems like you're saying that we basically pulled this directly out of our ass, when in fact it's been going on for months and years, and you would have to scroll to the next page, but it very clearly is like, you're I said good day, sir. It's like, it's
I also love this footnote. Ironically, the state does not describe what investigation it conducted to support its assertion that Avery's attorney did not investigate Mr. Sawinski or the Everman's maid.
That's hilarious.
Having, ironically, in the footnote.
That's a thing. That is a thing.
There are no fucks left to give. So the very first motion that I read, the 2019 one, was much more polite. Politeness is gone. She's mad now.
How many years of this person's life are just gone? There's no time to be polite. We can't.
At this point, this man has spent most of his life in prison, seemingly for crimes he did not commit. Motion was the circuit court. The state's conclusion is demonstrably false and the result of a careless, sloppy reading of Mr. Avery's motion. The simple truth is that Mr. Avery's counsel conducted a thorough investigation relative to Mr. Sawinski. I don't know if I'm saying his name right at all. Certainly, a great deal more effort was made to vet Mr. Sawinski than the state made to vet its primary witness, Bobby, who has been caught in numerous untruths.
Wow, this is brilliant. This is brilliant because now they're just going to lay out like, here's the thing that was a lie. Here's another thing that was a lie. By the way, did we tell you this entire brief is just for me to catalog the lies that your chief witness made? Ooh, yes.
Lies, all lies.
This is brilliant.
It's so, the writing on this is spectacular, in my own personal opinion. But maybe that's just because I was listening to Emily D. Baker read the TikToker motion, pro se motion today, which was painful. It was the opposite of this.
Yeah.
During Mr. Avery's trial, Bobby testified that he was asleep and woke up around 2:30 p.m. and looked out of the kitchen window of the Dassey Janda residence. I can't remember now how that's pronounced. And that he saw Miss Halbach's RAV4 pull up, Miss Halbach exit the vehicle, and start taking pictures of the Dassey Janda van. When Miss Halbach finished photographing the van, sorry, my brain did a British American pronunciation problem in my head. Bobby claimed to see her walking up towards Uncle Steve's trailer. Bobby testified that he took a shower, and when he left the property at about 2:45 p.m. to go bow hunting, he claimed that Ms. Halbach's RAV4 was still on the property, but he did not see her. Bobby's testimony was the only evidence presented by the state that the RAV4 never left the Avery property on October 31st, 2005. Bobby's testimony was the most determinative of Mr. Avery's guilt because the state used it to establish that Ms. Halbach never left the Avery property. Based upon Bobby's testimony, the state claimed that Mr. Avery was the last person to see Ms. Halbach alive. However, Bobby's testimony is replete with lies and contradicted by numerous witnesses, including his own brother Brian, who told law enforcement that Bobby saw Ms. Halbach leave the Avery property on October 31st, 2005. The CD, which the state withheld from Mr. Avery's counsel, also establishes a timeline of internet searches. Your technology will always tell on you. Always. Always. Internet searches directly contradicting Bobby's trial testimony that on October 31st, he was asleep from 6:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. I have questions. Additionally, Bobby's testimony that his back was scratched by his puppy has been refuted by Mr. Avery's expert, Larry Bloom. There's things to look at, which I'm not going to scroll to go see right now. Unlike the state's failure to investigate the credibility of its primary witness, Bobby, Mr. Avery's counsel rigorously investigated Mr. Sawansky's claims. Mr. Sawansky first emailed Mr. Avery's counsel's law firm on December 26, 2020, and Mr. Avery's counsel and her investigator vetted the legitimacy and veracity of the information provided by Mr. Sawansky over the next 3.5 months before filing the pending motion to stay.
Wow.
So the state was like, oh, that's what happened. Cool beans.
Yep. Thanks, Bobby. And also, it's brilliant that we keep calling Bobby Bobby and not Mr. Anything. Just Bobby.
Just Bobby. Just Bobby.
Bobby.
just Bobby. Yeah. Your tech is always going to tell on you. And
yeah,
this was at a point where the tech didn't have as much to say.
Oh, now it knows everything. It's listening to us right now. I don't just mean on this platform, but like my phone, wherever it is, it knows everything I say. My favorite thing is when I go to type in a search in my browser on my phone, and it's like, oh, did you want to look up this thing that you were just talking about 20 minutes ago? That's like my favorite.
Oh yeah,
terrifying experience of modern life. I get in my car, I plug in my phone, and my car goes, did you want to go home or to work? Because I have no life, and those are the two places that I go.
My car does the same. I mean, Murdaugh, man, he might have gotten away with it, except there's no physical way. The way his technology told on him, and Bubba the dog, there's no physical way that all of those timelines would have matched up with how they were trying to present it. And that's the thing, is that tech will tell on you every time. And I can keep going. We can keep going on a deeper dive here. I can keep reading. I just wanted to get that first bit for sure out of the way, because now I'm like my hound dog and I've caught scent of a squirrel, except the squirrel is really fascinating legal drama playing out in appellate courts. I recognize how stupid that sentence sounds.
It's, you know, for me, it's this fine line though, too, because, you know, we were just watching the closing from the Crumbley case, and you know, that was another lawyer saying people are full of crap. But you know, there, I could compare it to other public figures, but I'll choose not to do that this particular time. But there is a big difference between being like, oh, you're lying, no, you're lying, and being like, let me give you a list of the times and dates on which you have lied, what you've lied about, and why I no longer believe a word that comes out of your mouth.
Yeah.
There's a big difference there. And I don't know, maybe I hope a jury sees that difference. Certainly seems like they do. But truly it's impressive, the creativity and passion with which that document was laid out. That was a well-written, so far. I know there were 60
so
some odd
far,
more
and
but
yeah, we only made it to page 5, and I'm just looking at the time, and it's, unless we prepared everybody for 4 hours with us, which on a live stream we could do maybe, but with this, I wanted to do that. And ladies and gentlemen, please let me know. I'm going to follow this anyway, but whether or not it's just my own personal thing and giving some brief updates, or whether you want to go down this rabbit hole with us, let us know. Let us know in the comments, because I am all in on going down this rabbit hole. And I'm, at a certain point, if the court system, let me back up. I have a remarkable faith in our jury system when all of the evidence is presented appropriately. And that's when prosecutors only charge what they can prove, and defense attorneys work their butts off and do their jobs as well. Because the thing is that I ultimately have faith in people at the end of the day. And I think that our system can work. And when it fails, and fails at one particular person so abysmally, who also fits none of the, as much as I hate to say this, we have certain groups that the system does fail all of the time. He falls into one of those groups, kind of, but not really. I mean, he's a cisgender straight white male. Usually that is favored in our system from start to finish. We haven't quite gotten past that yet. It's changing, but it's not there yet. Now, then you have the class structure and things like that. But one wrongful conviction is a terrible mistake. Why did we do this? 2 would feel personal to any human.
Well, it's also wrongful convictions that carry significant sentences. It's one thing to be wrongfully convicted in a civil suit, but two serious criminal charges or series of criminal charges. I'm not sure exactly what the charges were that were brought in either case, but that honestly, I mean, I've been lucky enough not to spend any time with officers that I have witnessed, or detectives or otherwise that I've witnessed, to feel this way, but it feels like someone feels like he got out on a technicality from the first charge, that really he was guilty. And so now here's our opportunity to get this person.
And the funny fact,
maybe there's more nefarious intent, or maybe I don't know, but that's how it feels from what you have described to me.
Well, the person who committed the first crime spoke about somebody sitting in prison for a crime that he himself had committed, and that wasn't enough to get So it's not even just people didn't do their jobs. It was people were actively not doing what they were supposed to do. And the special prosecutor who put him away for murder who is not in prison, by the way, but did have inappropriate conversations with clients of his that were DV survivors. I believe I am accurate in that statement, and that is that when that got exposed, he was forced to step down.
One would hope. Yeah.
So I have questions as far as whom I'm going to believe. The man who was wrongfully committed for a crime the first time that you keep acting and talking as though was guilty, or you, sir, who actually did do wrong things.
Yeah. Who is demonstrably out to do bad. Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, it's fascinating to me because it is complex. It exposes a lot in our system, but it also shows very, very clearly a lot of our rights. And not legal advice, ladies and gentlemen, but here's the thing. Shush. Just, I need an attorney. And if they show up and they're a crap attorney, as we're learning from Sarah Boone, you can say, that person is not going to be my zealous advocate. Please, judge, send me another. And yes, you can do this if you have public defenders. Again, the Sarah Boone case is, if she can be on lawyer number 7, 8, 7, 8, I've lost count, then guess what? Especially if you're innocent, you can find somebody that you can work with much faster than that. And you probably won't need to go through the entire public defender's roster, but
hopefully
have an attorney with you. Just I know it. I understand that people want to help in that situation. You can help, but you can only help if you help yourself. And that is making sure there's an attorney in the room with you.
And no, asking for an attorney does not make you look guilty.
No, it does not.
It makes you look smart.
Mm-hmm.
Like a person who knows how to advocate for themselves and protect themselves.
Yep. And I'm going to go out on a limb, but I'm going to guess that I have not had the greatest luck with police officers myself. There are great ones out there. I've had the opposite experience of you with a lot of police officers.
Yeah.
Because of that, while they are not everybody and they are not all there, you never can tell if you happen to be in a room with somebody who is part of the problem, not part of the solution. How's that for diplomatic?
Well done.
Thank you. So with that, they might get real cranky if you ask for an attorney. But that, just do it anyway. Just save yourself.
Yeah.
Kathleen Madigan's dad's advice. I do not recall. I need an attorney. That. Just keep that in your head. So, anyway, I'm going down this rabbit hole. I am super fascinated. Whoever is writing these filings is
my new literary hero. I mean, fuck legal. I mean, that's like, sorry, I dropped the F-bomb, but that's like,
I
just
warned
good writing on all, in any circumstance that is well written.
Because the thing is, legalese is hard. I don't read like, I want to read the whole filing because it's that well written. It's like a novel. What happened next? What? Dan Brown, take note. That was very sassy. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. I am getting sassy,
and it was oddly placed sass. That was very. I didn't know you still harbored such hatred in your heart.
Yep, I do. Yep. For whatever reason, throwing angels and demons across the room after counting 7 adverbs in a single sentence. made a mark on me that I didn't expect. Nobody was in the way of the book. There were no pets or even plants. Nothing was harmed other than the spine of the book.
Nothing was harmed in the throwing of this novel.
Nothing was harmed in the throwing of the novel. Correct. So that's the deep dive for this week. I am going to keep focusing on that. If everybody wants to join me on this, let me know. Let us know. Mandy's coming along for the ride. Whether
I'm gonna try and catch up, but I don't know that I have 3 days to put it on autoplay. So we'll see. We'll see how I do.
Yeah. Life getting in the way. Why is life getting in the way? Don't let life get in the way. No.
Like that. Like they're like people who expect me to do things and meet deadlines and feed them, and it's terrible.
How dare they?
I know.
Dare they?
Half the time I don't even feed myself. What the hell?
Same. Speaking of, like, my belly is going, it's time for midnight snack, which I absolutely do not need, but totally am going to get. So that is this week's show. I'm gonna hope that the news this week quiets the fuck down for a minute. It won't, but
well, you know, I mean, we're using impeachment powers inappropriately, and the things that we're not covering this week are the utter failure of our political system to function as a ground for what's the word I'm looking for? Productive debate and the spirit of compromise. We don't live there anymore.
I miss those days.
If ever we did, maybe, I always wonder, like, maybe I just wasn't as cognizant of the nastiness of the news. But I've reached an age where no, it's not that. It's not that. So if you haven't watched last night's Daily Show, sorry, by the time you see this, it won't be last night's, but Monday night's Daily Show. I highly recommend it. I've not watched the whole episode yet, but what I've seen was like a homecoming for me. Like, it was like, I remember this feeling of like, I'm not crazy. It's not just me.
No.
I wish I could say it as eloquently and hilariously, but I just, yes, keep talking. Bring it more.
All of the things. Yes.
So I can't beat that. That's why I can't talk about it. Like, just go watch that. That was.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There are certain things. It's just, well, like following the Hannah Gutierrez retrial. I'm gonna be over in the Law Nerd chat. Find me there, because it's my favorite courtcaster that's doing the court cast, and on the breaks and stuff, I'm gonna go over to my second favorite courtcaster, see what's going on in those courtrooms. So it's just gonna be a lot. But yeah, I'm gonna. I don't know what happened to me. Yeah. So anyway, news. If there's a news story that you guys want us to cover, you know the drill. Drop it in the comments on my Insta. You can find us. You see me in the chat. And
come play with us.
Yes. Come hang with us. And I think it's time for us to roll the outro. We will see you sometime next week. We're going to bounce around as to when I drop these episodes based on, life and things like that. So do the subscribey thing, hit the notice thing, all the YouTube things, all the social things. And that way you'll stay up to date and you'll know when there's new things. And
yay.
See you later, guys. Thanks for joining us for another episode of The Unfiltered Tea. Don't forget to hit that like button. If you have a story you want our unfiltered take on, go ahead and drop it in the comments, and we will see you next time.